Thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. If you need a new website or domain, Squarespace can definitely help you out. I use Squarespace to publish my photography because their templates are clean, simple, minimal. They're perfect for photography or any type of creative work. I simply drag and drop my images into my web browser, create galleries, and then decide how I want my images to appear. And I can choose between creating a grid layout, or I can show one image at a time. I can do slideshows. I can also do lightbox views as well. All the proper tools that a photographer needs for their portfolio website. Best of all, Squarespace grows with you, so you can build an audience and market your work by starting an email newsletter. You can also open an online store and sell prints or digital products and downloads. Whatever it is you're trying to do with your website, whatever your needs are, Squarespace has the tools to make it happen. Even if you've never built a website or registered a domain, you can absolutely do it yourself by heading over to squarespace.com/Dominey and signing up for a free 30-day trial. And then whenever you're ready to go live with your website, use my last name, Dominey, to save 10% off a new website or domain. Hey, so if you do landscape photography like I do, or wildlife photography, or really any kind of outdoor-centric photography, eventually you're going to get to a point where they just don't slide as easily as they once did. And when you turn these turnbuckles, hear that? It's got dirt, it's got grit. I recently went out to the Oregon coast, and every day I did the thing you're not supposed to do. I basically just submerged the legs all the way down in the water. Typically what you want to do is just extend the lowest section of your leg, so that then the sand and the water and everything else is only affecting the foot. You're not getting it in, into these threads and these turnbuckles up here. That's a bad idea. If you're in a similar situation like this, odds are you probably don't need to go out and buy a brand new tripod, as tempting as that may be. So I'm going to show you in this video, how to clean it, how to properly clean it, and the things you're going to need and what works for me. Okay, so the tripod that I'm going to be cleaning here is a Pro Media Gear carbon fiber TR344L. And this has been a really solid tripod for me over the past few years. But what I'm going to share with you in this video should be applicable to any kind of, turnbuckle, tripod like this. Now, this isn't totally necessary if you, feel like this part of your tripod is fine and you're not having any problems, like, opening and closing the legs at the top. Maybe you don't need to go that far. Maybe you just need to clean the legs and the turnbuckles down here. But if you do take it completely apart, I would recommend getting like a little container, something like this, just a little something for any screws or washers or whatever you have. And then in here, I put in some distilled white vinegar, and that helps, get rid of grit and rust and anything that could be on here. And I just let them all soak in here. And it helps so, these things don't get lost either, because they are rather small and fiddly. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is, remove the foot from the bottom of the tripod, and this should be pretty easy to do, assuming that it has feet like this that can unscrew. You want to get all your feet off of the tripod, and then the next step is to start removing these sections. And for a turnbuckle tripod like this, you just unscrew it all the way, slide this down a little bit, pull the leg out, and when you do this, you're going to see down here at the end, most likely, every tripod I've ever owned has one of these, a little white, it may not be white, it may be rather gray or black, but you're going to see like a white plastic shim down here. This comes off, so you just need to, pry it apart like that. Basically, you just want to clean these as well as you can, just to, get the dirt and grit off of them, and that's about the best you're going to be able to do. You're not going to be able to get them back to the pearly white state that they were when you first bought the tripod, but that's okay. One of the things, one mistake that I made one time when I returned home from a trip, I forgot to clean my tripod. I just got busy with other things and I totally forgot to clean it. And then the next time I used it, I started doing this. I started, trying to use the tripod, and I unscrewed a leg and pulled it out, and it just reeked of mildew. It was so, oh my God. Yeah, I've really got some grit in this one. God, it was so gross. It smelled terrible. Okay, then once you have everything taken apart, I recommend putting everything into like a large sink, or if you have a bathtub in your house, that works really well. You can just use like just general household mild dish detergent. It doesn't need to be anything special. You just need something to get some of the loose dirt and grit off of the legs and all the individual pieces. You could use like a sponge or a towel just to, just for like general use. But when it comes to areas like the threads, like, these threads at the top of each leg section, I recommend getting something like this. This is just a nice little, handheld brush that is small and it's stronger than a toothbrush. I tried using like an old toothbrush and it just wasn't quite strong enough. And this definitely works better. If you, start doing this and you're looking at the threads on here and you're like, wow, they're still not clean, what's the deal? Well, the problem most likely is that your threads, and actually the inside of these turnbuckles as well, they probably still have some kind of grease or lubricant applied to them. The thing that works really well for me is this KH7 Super Degreaser. This is like designed for kitchens. I bought this to clean like a range hood in my kitchen one time. This will break down that lubricant and that grease that's on there and help you get it off. So I just recommend just spraying it just all around the top here, using your brush and just kind of like work it into the threads on here, and then rinse it off. You may need to do it a couple of times, but eventually this should be clean. You should be just down to the bare metal or plastic that's up here at the top, and you should be able to get that lubricant off and hopefully get rid of that last remaining bit of dirt and grit that's in there. Okay, then after you do that, you're probably going to want to rinse all this off, dry it again, leave the pieces out to, air dry once again. And then once everything is dry and there's no moisture, you need to apply lubricant. You need to reapply some grease and lubricant to these moving parts. And the product that has been working pretty well for me, but I have a different recommendation for you, is this one right here. This is white lithium grease. The problem with this WD-40 though is that it is a spray, and I totally didn't think about this when I bought it, but it tends to make a little bit of a mess when you're like trying to spray this onto the threads here. So what I've done is just like spray this into a towel or, a rag and then wipe that onto here. What I would recommend checking out, and I'll link to this down below in the video description, they sell tubes, almost like toothpaste tubes of white lithium grease that are made by other companies. And I have a feeling that would probably work better, because then you could like put a little dab on your finger and just kind of like, press it into the threads that way. But, if you already have some of this at home, this will definitely do the job. Okay, then after you do that and you've lubricated this, if you've taken your tripod completely apart, like I have here, you want to make sure that you re-lubricate areas like this, where the legs are going to be connecting to the top, to the base plate of the tripod. You want to make sure that you apply a little bit to things like nuts and bolts and things like this, so that everything is good, and you're ready to put it back together again. So anyway, cleaning a tripod, it's not hard. It's just more time consuming than anything. It just takes time, obviously, to take everything apart, clean each part individually, let it dry, and then re-grease everything, and then put it all back together again. I mean, it's a good weekend project. This is not the kind of thing that I would want to do while traveling. Like if I'm out on a trip, no way. I wouldn't want to do this, because I'd be deathly afraid of losing a part or something going wrong or who knows what. I mean, it is not fun taking your tripod apart while you're out on the road, especially if it's the only tripod that you have. I mean, it's one thing if you're like a digital nomad and you're always on the road. Well, then of course you would want to do this. But if you go on a trip like I just went on, out to the Oregon coast, and where your tripod is subjected to a lot of use and abuse, it's a good idea when you get home to clean it up, prepare it, and get it ready for the next time you go out. So anyway, everything that I talked about in this video today will be linked down below in the video description. And if you're interested to learn more about this tripod here, the one that I'm using, I will link to that down below in the video description as well. So I would love to hear from you. If this is something that you've done with your own tripod, if you have experience with this, feel free to leave a comment down below in the video description. But if you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment here on YouTube, which I totally understand, some people just don't, feel free to reach out to me directly. You'll find my email address in the video description. If this video was helpful, please do me a favor and give this video a thumbs up down below. It would help me out. And if you want to hang out with me again and talk about more photography stuff, then yeah, remember to subscribe while you're down there. Thanks so much, everyone, for being here, and I will see you next time.